What up, YouTube? Egyptian Prodigy here. Going to do a quick deck profile for my Hopeless Majestic Dragon build. Updated just a tiny bit, and it seems to work out pretty well. So here we go. The obvious 3 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragons. You can remove from play 1 Dragon type monster or special summon, and once per turn you can special summon any dragon type from your hand or grave. So this is like the main core card of this deck. It's really good. I don't honestly see how running pure dragon types can operate without this card. It's amazing. 2 copies of Light and Darkness Dragon. I think 3 is a little much. I know like Dragon Dual Scroll runs 3, Brionac from the Shadow runs 3, and a couple other people. It is a really good card, don't get me wrong, but in this particular build, I just can't support 3. I need as much summoning power as possible, and honestly 3 is just dead in my hand. But you know, those players have their decks built around being able to summon these higher level monsters, and mine just isn't, especially since it requires 2 tributes. So but nevertheless, it's an awesome card. I'm not going to explain its effect in full. Just know that it can negate any card effect. There's a trigger effect that has to happen. And every time it negates, it loses 500 attack. When it's sent to the graveyard, you have to blow up your side of the field and special summon 1 monster from your graveyard. One copy of Prime Material Dragon. Inverts life point burn, so things like magical cylinders, Caius, or anything like that will, instead of losing life points, you'll gain them, and also negates monster destruction by just discarding 1 card. Super good card. Vice Dragon, you can special summon it if your opponent controls monsters and you don't. Really easy stick into your level 8 using Delta Flyer, which I'll show you in a minute. And it's a dark type. So yeah, I used to run Dark End, and that's an optional card. If you want to run this build and run Dark End, this would be your target. 3 copies of Red Eyes Wyvern. Wyvern is, I call it like a sub-core card. It supports Darkness Metal really well. If you have this in Darkness Metal in your grave, you can remove this and special summon Darkness Metal during your end phase. So it's pretty good card. Plus it's a nice beater. It's 1800 attack. It's level 4. 2 copies of Delta Flyer. Delta Flyer is good because once per turn you can increase the level of 1 monster on the field by 1. So like you can increase Wyvern to a level 5 and then sink into a level 8 really easily. So this is a really good card. 3 copies of Majestic Dragon. Majestic Dragon is really good because when it's sent to the graveyard as a result of battle, you can special summon any dragon type monster to the field. And it doesn't ever clarify whether it has to be in defense or attack. So if they attack this, send to the graveyard, and you can special summon it again to their field stacked. You can just go through all 3 of these. So you have you can protect your life points at least up to 3 times. Or you can go into an exploder or set up for Light and Darkness by going into a totem, whatever you prefer. As I just mentioned, Exploder Dragon, he runs over those bigger monsters. Anytime this card be destroyed by battle, that destroys the card it's in battle with, and you take no life point damage. So that's a really good card. Totem Dragon. This card is awesome. Once on the field, you can use it as 2 tributes for a dragon type monster. Main target for this is going to be Lad. I try not to use it for Darkness Metal because there's so many other targets, but sometimes I have to. And then during your standby phase, you control no monsters, and this is in your graveyard, you can special summon it back to the field. So it's an awesome card. I'll kind of show you these 2 together. Stardust Xiaolong and Majestic Dragon. Now these are going to be some pretty key cards here. Basically the idea is Whenever you sync Stardust, you get this, and this is in your graveyard. This gets special summoned to the field, and not to mention that it has to be attacked twice during the battle phase in order to be destroyed. Now, Majestic Dragon, I try to like gold sark this or foolish it if I know I'm about to go into a Majestic Dragon type monster. Just gotta be careful because this can be really dead in your hand. I might add cards of Consonance back to this build, but I just don't think there's enough targets. So, but these two are going to be the key cards in order to go into your Majestic Dragons. Alright, spells. Alright, of course the main spell is going to be Future Fusion. Your target is going to be 5-headed dragon, and you send any 5 dragon types to the grave, and then 2 standby phases later, you're going to get a huge beater. But it's really not even about getting 5-headed, it's more or less about getting those monsters in your graveyard, so keep that in mind. Be very careful when you are placing your monsters in the graveyard. That's what sets up the rest of your strategy. This is a Monster Reborn, of course, staple. 2 MSTs, staples, of course. And then probably in February, I'll probably start adding a couple Dust Tornadoes to this deck for Sams. This is a Gold Sark, targets Majestic Dragon. I like to use, if I've already got my Future Fusion, but primary target can be Future Fusion for Gold Sark. Remove from play, 2 turns later, get your card to your hand. I run 2 books. It is an awesome card. If I can really get this deck like I want it, I'm going to run 3. But right now I'm just going to stick with 2. Trundae, of course, staple, foolish, and a dark hole. Alright. Actually, I forgot to show you guys a monster. Sorry about that. Glow Up Bulb. Okay, Glow Up Bulb is awesome. Alright, I take it in this deck because it's so versatile. I can send it to the graveyard, Foolish Burial. Discard the top card of my deck, get it to the field, and then I can sync into a formula with the Stardust Xiaolong, or go into a Red Nova with a Delta Flyer and an Archfiend on the field, which isn't something that's completely unfathomable. Just a lot of uses for this card. Or if I have a Black Rose on the field, I can just remove it from play because you can only use this effect once per turn anyway. I can remove it from the play and then have my opponent's cards go to 0 attack. So, yeah, good card. Alright, traps. I have a pretty interesting trap setup. It's not really that unique, but it works. First one's going to be Call the Haunted. Just in case I've already used a Glow Bolt's effect, or if I need to bring Majestic back on the field, Majestic Dragon, and then go into another one of my Majestic Dragons. You know, this is a good card to use. So just that extra summoning power, especially for Glow Up Bulb, because I can't use it Red Eye's effect to get it back. Starlight Road, people are maining Dark Hole, so this gets around that. Basically, whenever 2 monsters are targeted for destruction purposes on the field, you summon this, or it can be 2 spell or traps. It's just 2 cards on your side of the field. You can negate, destroy, and get a Stardust. And sometimes I even Dark Hole and then chain this to it if I need to go ahead and get into my Stardust Dragon. So, and you'll see why. I mean, I run 3 of them, so it's all good. Solemn Judgment for negation purposes. I'm going to get another Solemn Warning. Like I said, my cards got stolen, so I'm kind of trying to start over here from scratch. Mirror Force, of course. 2-dimensional prisons, mainly for annoying buggers like a Colossal Fighter, or when people try and do that Colossal Fighter Armory Arm OTK, this gets around that pretty easily. And then 2 Bottomless Trap Holes. course. Alright, so that is the main deck. Alright, here's my side deck. Got one formula Synchron, of course. This card's actually pretty amazing. It's not just for shooting star or whatever. I mean, even if I go into Brionac and now I want to synchro summon into a Stardust during my opponent's main phase, I mean, that's an awesome strategy too. So yeah, and then when you synchro summon it, you draw one card, and it's really not that hard to summon in this deck. And then, I mean, if you don't summon it, it's not a big deal. I mean, you still have all these other ways, all these other win strategies. This is Brionac, of course, broken. Exploder Dragonwing, Black Rose, Ancient Fairy Dragon, Scrap Dragon. This card can be like super destructive, especially with Red Eyes, Darkness Metal. Like, you can just break from the graveyard, Scrap Dragon, destroy, and then destroy one of their cards on the field. So yeah, that's pretty abusive though. Alright, here we go. The good stuff. Alright, 3 copies of Stardust. Alright, this is going to be your target for your Shooting Star, your Starlight Road, or your Majestic Dragon. I run 3 so that I'll have the minimum to at least be able to complete each strategy every time. So yeah, got 3 of those. 1 copy of Majestic Dragon. Its effect is pretty insane. You can tribute it to negate an effect that one of your opponent's card effects, and then destroy all cards in their field. And then, of course, tributing it isn't really a big deal because I can just bring it back with Red Eyes Darkness Metal. Or you can take one of your opponent's card effects and use it as its own for once per turn. So yeah, and if it's on the field during your end phase, it has to go back to the extra deck, and then you bring Stardust back. But if it's in your graveyard, it can stay there for Red Eyes Darkness Metal purposes. So, of course, Shooting Star Dragon. This card is amazing. Like, it's just so good. I mean, there's only so many ways to get around it. Of course, Deep Raising gets around it. Mistworm and Brionac get around it. Arcane get around it. But, you know, if you can, there are other cards in the deck to help support this getting affected by those cards. Book of Moon, or, you know, what have you. But anyway, it negates any card destruction at all. You can remove it from play to negate one of your opponent's attacks, or you can reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, and depending on how many tuners you draw, that signifies how many times you'll attack. Now on this deck, I won't use that effect because I don't run that many tuners, so it's just a nice 3300 beater. Alright, Red Dragon Archfiend, of course. Majestic Red Dragon, destroys all defense position monsters, can negate the effect of one of your opponent's monsters, and negates the attack of the negated effects monster. Negated monster's effect. Right, yeah. So basically, it negates the monster's effect and gets the attack of that monster. So yeah, pretty good card. And then, quickly, one of my favorite cards in the game. It's a Red Nova Dragon. This card's amazing. It gains 500 attack. Yeah, 500 attack for every monster, every tuner in your grave, and I mean, you have to at least use 2 tuners, so you're guaranteed at least 1,000 attack every time you summon this, because it requires 2 tuners and a Red Dragon Archfiend. So, I mean, you're looking at a 4,500 beater off top. And that's just if you didn't synchro summon anything else the entire game. So, yeah. Then we've got a 5-headed dragon, of course, for future fusion purposes. And that's my deck. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Peace.